All right, everybody, welcome back to this third design lecture. We have one more to go, and then it's gonna be over. Today, we have a lecture which is entirely dedicated to interior design, and the next one will be dedicated to landscape design. So we cover all the subjects, or at least a few subjects with our lectures. Today we have a lovely guest. Her name is Claudia Campone, and she's CEO and Director of 31 Design. And she will give a lecture entitled Retail Design from Methodology to Case Studies. Let me read a brief introduction before I give the stage to Claudia. Treasuring the 10 years experience in the field of retail design, we will explore the structured approach to creating compelling retail environments that balance aesthetic appeal and functionality, aiming to enhance customer experience and drive sales. We will begin by discussing the key phases of a retail design project, from initial concept development and space planning to branding, material selection, and construction supervision. We will cover critical elements such as market research, consumer behavior analysis, and how these inform layout decisions and visual merchandising strategies. You'll also learn about collaborating with stakeholders, including engineers, contractors, and retail clients, and how to manage timeline and budgets effectively. By the end of the lecture, you should have a clear understanding of how to apply a systematic, customer-centric approach to retail design projects that optimizes both brand identity and store performances. That's great. If you're interested in 30 Design activities, you just need to go on their website, 31design.it, and you will find their projects. So Claudia, thanks for being with us today, and the stage is yours, so you can start.
Thank you, thank you. Hi, everyone. Can see some familiar faces. I believe we already met, thanks to Silvia, in your class. So just a quick update. Of course, the 10 years experience, so at least you know that I'm 40 years old, unfortunately 41. The 10-year experience are related to 31, the company that I founded in 2015, and next year we will celebrate 10 years actually. But my experience is a little bit longer, unfortunately. The thing is that at a certain point, when I was doing my corporate career within Fendi, LVMH group, I'm sure you know you're familiar with the brand, and I was 31 back in time, I had this feeling that I was not learning anymore. I was kind of repeating, which is an amazing thing, repeat to learn. But at that point, I was repeating without learning too much. And I thought, you know what? Let's give it a chance. And there's a manner of saying in Italian, which is once you've done 30, you can always do 31. Why don't you do 31? Which means why don't you run one more mile? Why don't you make this additional effort, etc.? Which is what I think our clients appreciate and value in our work. This is a little bit the team, which is already giving you, I mean, there's some faces missing. We're now company which is becoming quite medium size, so we're 20 people more or less. The thing is that the strategy for our methodology is to split into teams which are always working together. A team which is fully dedicated to design, meaning creativity, AutoCAD, 3D, whatever, anything that has a long time to be delivered. And then we have a team of project managers, which are the ones running here and there, calling people, attending meetings, going on sites. In that case, their work, it's typically a very short pills. So their day is divided into half hours of meeting. Imagine instead a designer would be sitting for 3 hours full in front of a project. This is a little bit of numbers. So So far, we delivered more than 150 projects worldwide from Rome. We have almost 40 projects under development. This is a little bit our rhythm. And there's a moment of the year which is a peak for us of delivery that is typically April, May. And of course, when you work in retail field, you're always following a little bit the season, the events, Christmas, vacations, resort destination, they must open in May, etc., etc. And then we have global clients, and this is a little bit the value of projects we are handling, more or less. That's an overview of ongoing and completed projects all over. In this case, of course, when we work that far from our headquarters, let's say, we go there, but our role is mainly of creative supervision. So it's concept design, design intent, design direction, etc., working with local companies and contractors. This is the overview of the Europe market, and you can see a strength in UK market because I've been living in London for 4 years and something between 2017 and 2021, which gave me the opportunity, of course, to raise a bit of business up there. And this is an overview of Italian projects. And as you can see, there's plenty of travel destination location, because we work a lot with fashion brands into travel retails, developing this sort of temporary store, that's how we call them, in those destinations. This is our galaxy, that's how we call it. So we cover a lot of different typology of project, but of course retail is our, I would say, 85% of revenue. Don't do residential, if I can give you an advice. Either it's, I don't know, 900 square meters villa with no budget constraint, and that's your client, or, you know, drop it. Because there's 2 points in retail and hospitality, which is the field we are trying to move aggressively in. It's a recurring work, meaning that you design a store, you design a concept, as you will see, and then you're gonna open other 10, other 20, which means that for you and for your team, you can build up, you can train people because you know that you're gonna have income to pay these guys, right? If you do an interior design for a residential project, how many houses this guy must have to be recurring, right? So it is always a one-of-a-kind project. There's no way to leverage in your investment at the beginning, where you learn who you have in front, who is your client, what's his taste, how does he want the formats, etc. When you do that in a retail or a hospitality project, you can repeat it then, right? So you can go faster and you can maximize as well. And this is the approach, design and management. So you would normally meet architecture firm which are only delivering the project, which is the first column up there. So this is the full process typically. Now you start from concept design, preliminary drawings, tender drawings, construction drawings, shop drawings, right? And this is what a typical architecture design firm will deliver. The thing that we can integrate, and this is what I learned when I was working within the store planning in Fendi, is that you can add the cost management and the time management, which is crucial, particularly in retail design. So again, in retail design, you would never postpone an opening date. No way. There's a lot of money we're talking about. While in residential, it's so typical to hear, oh my God, it was a nightmare. You know, we were expecting the home to be done March and we got it in September. Typical. This would never happen. I mean, no one I know had this thing in the retail firm. So this is why time management is so crucial. And this is the way we work in terms of communication flow, okay? And working flow, meaning that we put ourselves in the middle between the clients and any other stakeholders. That could be consultants that we need, depending on the project, accordingly, if we have structural works, of course, we need to put a structural engineer within. Or a contractor. Sometimes we will have contractor under our scope of works, and particularly we are the one managing them, okay? So the client has a single interface with us. This is a bit of a manifesto. That's the way we proceed to work. So we start from thinking by sketching, and that's one mandatory recommendation. Some of you already know, sketch every day, sketch every day. This is the only way you can control your skill, which is imagining, but also being able to communicate what you vision in your mind, okay? Sharing design, meaning that we don't like the old way, the old-fashioned way of, oh, you know what, this is my vision, either we do like that or, you know, that's the way we should do. No way. We will always be talking and sharing and come to a final idea, which we're never able to say, oh, this was Claudia's idea, this was Francesca's idea, whatever. It's always shared within the team, and it is always shared with the client, because we need to have the client believing in the idea we're moving forward with. From virtual to real, meaning, of course, we work with 3D visualization, whatever. We need that. We need to communicate with our client, which doesn't have imagination, typically. But we will always check on mock-ups, materials. That's crucial as well in retail. We will always have a size 1-to-1, scale 1-to-1 mock-up of what we are designing. And then the last mile to make it happen. No, as I mentioned before, 30, 31, we always give an additional mile, even for free. Sometimes, you know, it's just a message. That's an overview of our clients. And you can spot some, of course, of the major luxury brands, but also we have brands like Technogym or Ferrari. I mean, and all of these, just to give you the sense of how a good words of mouth work. There's no advertising campaign. There's no investment in anything like that. It's people at the top management level that are recommending us to other people. Basic, okay? And this is a little bit of overview of press covering that we have so far. Awards that we got, which is always nice. We're now, finger crossed, in the shortlist for the Plan Award, which will be delivered next week. So, you know, sometimes it's good, you know, to understand if you're doing right. Any questions so far before we enter into the project? Fine, okay. So I brought today 4 case studies. May sound a bit scary, but at least you're having lunch. I'm not, which means that I'm gonna rush to show you everything. Otherwise I will starve. First one is Etro. Etro, anyone know the brand? Familiar with the brand? Not really? Okay, Etro is considered like Hermes for Italians. It's very famous for silkware, all these patterns that you see, very, very graphic, very decorated. It has been recently bought by an investment fund, which is making it roll and raise a certain number to then be bought by a bigger group, okay? And that's interesting because in this case, we've been called after a series of trials they did with famous designers, which were not convincing them, which were not in retail design, etc., etc. So finally, we sit together with them. They said, listen, we need to do something together. We know what we want. You know how to make it. Let's work together. So this is a bit of keywords we extracted from the brand's heritage. And then what we propose, this is exactly the presentation we took to the client, so at least it gives you a feeling of how we work. An immersive experience inside brand's codes. The textile legacy, which is the core business of this brand. And this bohemian elegance, this is the new creative director of the brand, which is called Marco De Vincenzo. The first collection that he released was called Bohemian Elegance, meaning that there's a lot of overlays, accumulation, etc. this was the first look and feel board we shared with them. So there's a lot of rough materials, as you can see, natural material. So there's wood looking wood. It's not lacquered wood. There's stone looking proper stone. There's no glossy, there's no sparkling, because this guy is like that. That's what he likes, the creative director. And then there's a bit of references to historic residential interior design in the Italian culture. So what you see up there, for example, is Villa Medici. This one is Villa Medici interior. So that gives you not an idea of the project, but it gives you a look and feel, right? And then we always translate that into a material board. Okay. What we always do, and in this case it's pretty clear, we extract something, in this case it's a graphic pattern, that could be applied as a decorative surface, as a decorative motif. So in this case, from this pattern, we developed a custom wallpaper with this 3D layer, and then this wood, which is printed with the same effect, and the handles of the store as well, which is a little detail, but if you think it's the first thing that you touch, is your first contact point with a retail space. This was the first project we developed for them, Dubai Mall in Dubai. And these are the competitors that recently opened there. I mean, back at the time when we were working. As you can see, have a look at this facade. And then this was the store Etro had at the time, competing with them, okay? So let's try to be a bit dynamic. What you see, if you need to spot the difference between this and the previous one. What is the main thing that you see? This and this. Oh, okay. There's a pretty clear thing that you notice immediately, right? This is fully black and there's no transparency at all. These are the typical store, we call it aquarium, because you want to see inside and you want to be seen from outside. And your store becomes itself a big shop window. There's no more the trend of closed show window. Have a look around. I mean, despite if there's a technical reason behind, but typically now you want the entire store to be your display, right? So the first thing we did when you compare the two plans, so you see here it's completely blocked, the view inside. We open it up. So except for the space when you need to be closed, because you have a pillar, because you need to put a fitting room there, whatever, everything is exposed, okay? And then we started studying the flows. So in this case, imagine in Dubai, you still have the separation man and woman. So you needed two separate axes. This is the woman axis and the man axis. Typically, this is everywhere in the world. There's a basic rule. When you enter, you turn right. Everywhere, even in England, where they drive on the left, you enter and you step right. So that's why we started with this sort of path. Okay, same thing for the men. There's a curve. The curve is guiding you in the direction we, meaning designer, brand, we want you to move. Okay, so retail is always, it's similar to designing prisons. Do you know anybody designing prison? I have a lot of friends, unfortunately, in Paris. There's a big firm that designs prison. And the crucial thing when you design a prison is not really the light, yeah? Unfortunately not. Checking the flow, because what is the purpose of a prison, right? It's to lock people inside, right? So to make it hard, the longest way possible to escape. Okay, so it's like designing labyrinth. There's something similar. I mean, I don't want to say stores are like prisons. In a manner, we could say that. But it's quite similar because you design flows. You need to, first of all, you need to design flows. Even before designing displays, you need to study how you want people to move around. And see also what we managed to do in terms of volumes and rooms, right? Here you just had 2 single rooms, huge, big rooms, where the risk is that you get lost. And you, as a client, when you enter in a space where it's not clear where you need to move, you have the time to wake up and think, why am I entering this store? I don't need anything, leave. Okay? We design traps in this sense. So we need you to don't wake you up. Okay? We need you to, oh, there's a first room, there's a second room, there's a third view, there's a fourth view. And then there's even a path to go back where you can spot other things, okay? So we maximized, that's how we say, we maximized the number of perceived square meters. And these that I'm showing here, oops, sorry, I'm going back and forth. This is the level of information we deliver within a plan, where you mark the requested merchandising SKU. SKU means the stock kept units, and what you manage to deliver in terms of display. And this is how we study as well the merchandising stories and opportunity you can give to the client. So you know that red is accessories. For red, we have 1, 2, 3 stories. So there's going to be 1, 2, 3 collections of bags that you can display. When we do this, we can sit down with the buyers, with the product managers, not only the architecture brand, the architecture office of the brand, to explain so they can start thinking of the buying they need to plan for this store, okay? And this is the look and feel of the inside, of the interior that we wanted to express. So now we start to show you how we present 3D views. Facade. So we're using a material which is not that familiar, particularly in malls, that is wood frames. When we show a render, it's always with a bit of support for the client. So we give direction of what material we are proposing where. This is the material board of the interiors, and that's the first room, okay? Anything weird that you notice here that you would not do if you were doing this 3D? Something that you would say, oh, you know what? Why did you do that? Easy, guys. I mean, it's really informal. Don't be scared. Yeah. There's no? Yeah, and this is something I always say to my team. There's 2 people from my team here. They never put people inside, so you never get the scale and the proportion of the person. I totally agree with you. Typically, we do that, just to reassure you. And you must do that. With the person, it's true, but that's a good point. It was not against you, personally. Something typically that is one of the most boring parts when you model a retail interior. What is the most boring part? When you need to put product inside. So you see, product is fully white. There's a reason why. There's a practical reason. We want to be efficient and quick, so we don't have time to, cut out, Photoshop, blah, blah. But also because our store has to be timeless, not related to a single collection. So imagine if they had like purple as the color collection and you were designing something red. Doesn't work. It doesn't work this season, but it works for the overall, okay, time of the year. So I'm moving quickly on the interiors so you can appreciate a bit of the materials we saw before. That's what you see at the back. This is the access to the fitting room and the access to the main area. This is the view to the main area. You see the change of colors and nuances as well. That's the main as you enter. So in this case, you have a full view of the space. And then, considering Etro family, the founder of Etro is one of the biggest art collectors of modern art in Europe, we said, why don't we leverage on this storytelling for the brand to communicate about that? So the store becomes a gallery, an art gallery. You will enter just to appreciate the art pieces, not to buy, okay? So the buying, the purchase is an aftermath, just in case, okay? So that's why we went through a selection of young designers, international designers into this field of design collectible. I'm sure you're familiar with this word, functional art or design collectible, meaning one-of-a-kind pieces, something that is very, very precious. It's not industrial design, okay? And so this is the plan where we are showing every single element that is an art piece, okay? Why? Because we need to bring on board the CFO of the company that has to buy. Because of course they would say, oh, why don't you buy whatever, IKEA chairs? No, because this has a value, this becomes an asset for you guys, blah, 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 okay? And then we moved selecting as well an artist, an Italian artist, which works with this gesture. He folds canvas. And so we thought creating a link between these artists and the textile legacy of the brands, that would be interesting. So they designed together this art piece for this store. So that's the final pictures. As you can see, they're pretty similar to the 3D views. Now you can see it's with the proper product as well. The main area, this is the art piece I was mentioning. Details, some details here and there. Let's move to the next one, okay? You want to do the questions at the end, how you prefer? Let's try the end, okay. Uniqlo. So Uniqlo is a big client for us in this moment. We're doing almost 4 stores at a time. And imagine the size of a Uniqlo store is at least 1,500 square meters. Okay. We recently opened the store in Stazione Termini. I'm not sure if you've been there. But this store that I'm showing you is the first one they opened in April in Via del Corso. Okay. The biggest flagship store. This is the opportunity to, start working with them. So it was pretty spontaneous. This guy, which is now the head of architecture department within Uniqlo, was a guy that I met when I was a junior project manager within Fendi brand. He was my counterpart in Paris, Galeries Lafayette. So we met, we had coffees, that's it. 10 years after, these guys called me and say, oh, you know what, we're opening a store in Rome. Do you want to join? We're doing a sort of a small competition for ideas about the staircase, because we need to build a massive staircase. And we want to open ourselves to new collaboration. 16th of August, the call happened. Do you know, 16th of August in Italy is like a cemetery. I mean, no one works. I was at the beach house with my family. What do you do? No, sorry, we're off. Thank you for the opportunity, boom. So we started, and of course you have 2 weeks to make a proposal. 3,000 square meters, 3 floors staircase, spiraling staircase, okay? I didn't even have my laptop with me, I just had my iPad sketching. So we put together this presentation, this exact presentation in 2 weeks from smart working in different beach houses of where we were. So this is the space, of course, Galleria Alberto Sordi is one of the famous galleria where the shopping happened at the beginning of the century, 1900. It has been recently bought. It is, of course, in the main center of Rome. This is the location. These are the competitors based on their perception. So Apple Store, of course, which is next door, Zara, next door. So just a little bit, and of course, an amazing staircase, you can appreciate it in Louis Vuitton store, San Lorenzo e Lucina. Not with the same budget, guys. I mean, Louis Vuitton store is flying around 15,000 euro per square meter. Uniqlo is around 1,500, 1,800 euro per square meter, okay? And this is how we presented our 3 concepts ideas. So you see, we even played a little bit with the same graphic language of Uniqlo. So we said, okay, we can play with 3 ideas. The Genius Loci, have you heard about that? See? Okay, what is the Genius Loci? Yeah. Exactly. So listening and contemplating the god of the place. And in this case, where they are, in front of it, they have Colonna Aureliana, Colonna Antonina, Colonna di Marco Aurelio, which is not Colonna Traiana, but I mean, it's the typical thing Romans used to tell stories, right? Where you have a ribbon running around. Second thing is public pocket place. There's an urban trend nowadays to create pocket park wherever you can, put some green, whatever. And then the third one, since the logo of Uniqlo is a square, the idea was to square the circle, which is a geometry joke, let's say. So first one, celebrating Genius Loci. And this is the sketch we made, again, quickly on the iPad, whatever. So to explain, listen, if that's going to be your main access, that would be nice to have the street entering and this staircase, opening up as if it was the Colonna Antonina, right? Boom, quick model, made, again, quickly, blah, 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 2 materials, and this view. And again, guys, this is interesting. If somebody calls you and says it's a competition, okay, which are the deliverables? Normally in big competition, you have a list of deliverables. You need to deliver whatever. Plan, RCP, section, blah, blah, blah. In this case, there was no deliverable list. So it's up to you. There was not even said 3 option minimum. Nothing. It was convince me to work with you. And that's even a choice of language and style you make to show them, this is us, this is how we work and how we approach projects. Materials call out, pocket park, public pocket park, I'm going fast, sketches, bit of volumes, so the idea of creating a sort of tree, fake tree in the store, like a playground, more language. Third one, squaring the circle. Okay, so this circle of the stairs becomes a sort of pixel explosion. Model and final model. And in this case, we wanted to play as well with the grid. Which one would you choose if you were the client? I mean, everybody would choose the square, the circle, right? I love that. More than the other 2, right? But of course, if you have been to the store now, you know how poor is the final result. I mean, I'm not saying poor badly, of course, it's just a joke. So this is something very useful for the client, just to give you a tip, a comparison slide where you have the 3 options in the same view, because it's always better to communicate this way instead of saying, oh, can you go back to this? No, I was mentioning, efficient communication. And then, of course, we had to study the plan, the vertical connection, the natural light, so light sources, etc. The way to, this is a zoning exercise, right? So they have a specific function, they need to know where we are allocating them. And this is the flows, again, flow study. For this is a pretty tricky location for them. In fact, it is working much better Termini Station store because it has a single entry-exit point than this one where you have 1, 2, and 3 entry, which is the worst you can have in a retail space, because then it means you enter and you leave without going up or down to the main section. And then, of course, you study the main flow. So they always have a standard for the main flow to be 140 meters wide, and then a secondary flow that could be tighter. Materials. So, of course, we put it some travertino. You're in Rome. A bit of travertino is always good, right? Like coffee, typical. Timber, some green, etc. And this was the evolution. So we finally won. That's the good idea. And we won so bad, I would say, that we started doing 4 projects at a time. And you see, what the way the project moved forward is so distant from our language, but it doesn't matter. They saw we are smart people, at least, okay? Even if we don't fit with this brand, but we are good people to work with. So that's why I was saying, yeah, they don't give you a list of deliverables, but, you know, play the game. Try to win the cup, because, you know, there's always an investment approach. So these are the renders, the interiors, all the study of the floor, how to, you know, value as well the ceiling, the existing ceiling, etc. And then, of course, when you look at the final, there has been a level. Imagine this is a project lasting 3 years for us, which is an era. While normally we do projects in 6 months, 4 months. In this case, it was, you know, timeless, incredible. So you see the amount of cleaning, let's say, that they did for economical reasons, time reasons, okay? This was something we had at the bottom at the end, etc. Okay? Nanan, this is an interesting one to show you how you can play with the brand image. So that's a kids wear and accessories brand. These were the existing store we found. And the exercise for them was, oh, you know, we mainly have white products, so we do white store. And we were, okay, there's a bit of job to do here. I mean, basic color perception theory. If you have something white, at least put something black at the back or something colorful, because otherwise you will not see, in fact, you don't see the product, right? And there's a second problem that white has, which is it gets dirty. There's a maintenance issue. In fact, the store was horrible. That's the study of their logo, graphic guidelines. This is a work we did quickly on their logo to extract colors and shapes, etc. Again, same exercise you saw in Etro, no? We created a graphic pattern that could be applied on wallpaper, floors, bags, packaging, etc. That's the merchandising mix they have, which is one of your brief essential points. You need to know how much product you have, what kind of product. You need shelves, you need hanging, you need front piece, you need counters, how you sell it, how you present it to the client. Oopla. That's the look and feel we proposed. So, of course, tenderness, we're talking about childhood, maternity, etc. And this is then the material board translation. So you see, again, lots of natural materials, some texture. And that's the sketch. In this case, was even harder. You saw Etro, at least we had a location to test. In this case, there was not a plan when we started. So they wanted a concept, because typically what happened in retail, you need a concept to go and sit down with Rinascente, Dubai Mall, Bergdorf and Goodman to sell your store and say, oh, you know, it's going to look like this, like that. What do you think? Blah, blah, beautiful. But we didn't know the plan. So we had to imagine an ideal space where we could start explaining the layout, the wayfinding, etc. So since we had to display furniture, because they also have a bit of furniture collection, we decided to create rooms within room, okay? And this was an ideal world where you had display on the walls, room within room, a lounge, kind of seating area, playing area with fitting room for the kids, and then of course back of house at the back with the cache, remote cache. And we started developing these displays from those shapes, lines that you saw before. The idea here was to explain them. They needed to work on a cross-selling display where you could put, of course, the buggy, but then you can put also bags, clothes, you have a bit of storage. This is a cross-selling unit. And then you have all the others with lamp. This is the way we explain merchandising mix. And this is finally the plan of, again, Dubai Mall. So you see the room within the room space. This is the 3D view. In this case, a smart approach. If you can work with the clean white box without creating niche, strange shape, etc., that's easy when you need to do store from remote, because it means you just come with your furniture that is freestanding, and you know you just need to finish floor, ceiling, walls, and then you come with the furniture. So you can invest more money in the furniture detail than in the white box, right? That's the store, finished store with the facade. So you can see the same lines repeated there. I'm showing you instead, so these are the picture from the inside. This is always the horrible picture you get from Dubai. Dubai, we have a problem with photograph. While you see the store in Rome, so we had our certified photograph taking picture, can you see how much it changes in our job to have the proper pictures of a space? Exactly the same concept. I brought them just for this purpose, to explain you how important it is to choose the proper photograph to communicate your product, right? So you see, this is, oh my God, what is that? And this view, you know, even the point of view, the tone of the colors, the nuances, it's another level, right? Last one, so we close at 1:30. Lanerossi, that's an Italian brand which was very famous back in the 50s. Imagine my mom, she was fancying at the time to have her wedding gift was the typical Lanerossi blanket. All our moms, our grandmas, etc. Then they suddenly went down in the B2C business and they moved more into the B2B. So they sell all the wool to the biggest brand, Chanel, Loro Piana, Dior, they buy from them. But they still have a good collection of blankets, linen, etc. So they moved back into the B2C. And you see they have this amazing visual heritage, graphics, nice graphics, etc. So they call themselves easy chic with a touch of glam. So we presented them two main trends happening in retail lately. One is homeification, meaning discontamination between residential, feeling at home idea into the retail space. The second one is gamification, that you perfectly know what it means. Big brands making fun, you know, lowering the elegance level to play with the customers. This is a bit of an analysis of contemporary way to display linen and products like that. And this was the existing space we found in Milan. And of course, here you have this staircase that, yes, of course, you can demolish it, but you didn't want to, right? I mean, you can see there's a potential of beauty. It's not beautiful, but there's a potential there, right? So, existing plan. Floor plan, we always do this diagram to show how we allocate the different functions. And that, again, flows that we saw earlier. So you enter, you turn right. Oh, here there was a big debate about where do we put the entry? And we decided to put it here because from here you can have a full view of the space. And because, as we said, normally you enter, you turn right. If I make you enter in the middle, you will be confused. If I make you enter close to the stairs, you will find the stairs. You will feel aggressed. And so that's why we wanted to do so. Essential thing in retail design, modularity, flexibility of the display. So here you have an horizontal metal tube, a pipe, where you can hang your different display. Depending if you need more shelves, vertical display, frame for a hero product. And then we count them as if you were ordering on IKEA, you know, your cart at the end of the purchase. Two concepts here. We presented two options. One is based on the geography origin of Lanerossi, which is Vicenza, close to Venice. It's a region that is full of cotto, of this very light stone, pietrananto. So we wanted to value, again, the genius loci of the brand. But all this mood of pale and warm tone needed a disruptive color. And so we made a research. Lanerossi was founded in 1835. This is the same date when blue color was discovered in a chemical way, meaning that up to them, you could make blue pigment only with lapislazuli stone. That's why the cloth of the Virgin Mary is blue, because it was one of the most expensive color to make, like gold, okay? This was the moment when the blue was becoming democratic for everyone to be used. That's why all the artists at the end of 1800 were using blue as much as possible. So we said, why don't we use this? There's a story to tell behind that. And there we go. That was the first proposal. 3D view, in this case with products, proper one, not white. The counter view. And in this case, big debate. Oh, we need a bed. You know, we need a bed to show the blankets and all the linen and blah, blah. We say, you know, the store is tiny. It's a corridor. If you put a bed, it's 6 square meters lost. You don't move around. Why don't we put it standing so people can take picture there? Oh, that's amazing. Blah, blah. So finally it becomes a photo booth, okay, where they can put their linen on. Second option, digging into their graphic collaboration they had back when they were doing advertising with the most amazing graphic designer, optical art. So here you have Franco Grignani, is one of the most famous graphic designers back in the 50s, 60s. He also designed for Pirelli. Bridget Riley, optical designer in UK. The material, the texture itself of the brand product. Their advertising campaign from Pino Tovaglia, another amazing graphic designer if you want to research. And that was the proposal. So kind of splitting the space in two and starting again from the staircase, the existing one, to make this graphic moving around. How many like this one? Only 2, 3, 4? I love this one. I wanted to do this one. And instead, boom, that's the one that won. So the execution, there was a bit of an issue with the light truck. We hate them, but I mean, still, we kept it. So the staircase is finally like a ribbon. the thread that is moving around the space. This is the other views, the photo call, and that's it. Thank you.
Right, thank you, Claudia. I think this was very interesting for both the interior designers and the architects, because actually the thinking process is kind of the same. There's not much difference. Then when it comes to details, of course, the dimension of the thinking process changes. We usually have this habit in these lunch design lectures, and it is about asking the students to imagine, to be able to make an interview and ask questions to you. And so before the lecture, they filled in a form, and I collected their curiosities about you and your firm. So they were supposed to go on your website and study your website and collect information about you.
That's good, because it's what Giuseppe is doing these days, so you're helping him.
And so there are, I tell you, a lot of questions.
Nice.
We don't have time for all of them, maybe 2 or 3 of them. And so while you were explaining a few things, I was selecting a number of them. And I have a question about sustainability. So there was somebody asking, your portfolio features innovative sustainable projects. How is sustainability, sorry, I'm mentioning another projects, is embedded in your process and in your projects, and to what extent? And so the question is about sustainability.
Yeah, in various manners, meaning that, for example, the project I just showed you, keeping the staircase, that's a sustainable choice, of course. So it's an approach where you limit the amount of demolition and alteration. And it's not just for an economical reason, but you explain your client that if you can limit it, you know, that would be amazing in terms of pollution. So that's one example. Another example is of course, to choose certified or recycled materials as much as possible. Imagine that instead of using real marble, if you can use ceramic replicating marble, that has an impact that is massive, because I mean, to dig and extract real stone and to ship it to the final destination. When I was working in Fendi, it was horrible because we were using yellow travertine, even if we are in Rome, where you have all the travertine you need. But back in time, that was Peter Marino, architect, so of course, the god on earth. He wanted yellow Peruvian travertino. So we had to extract it there, ship it to Italy, slice it, and then ship it to wherever, to Beijing, to New York, etc. You know, so there's a lot of work you could do in this direction. When you cannot, there's always a last choice that is compensating. So we do a lot with this with Dior, for example, when we did the Harrods full takeover of the building and everything was made in fiberglass. We kind of forced them to work with Westminster Waste Management Company, where they burnt, because you cannot reuse fiberglass, right? They burnt it, but the burning produced energy for the city. So there's a lot of various ways to make a project sustainable. Do not limit yourself in putting some recycled plastic or whatever, certified wood thing.
Thank you, Claudia. We keep speaking about sustainability every time in this center, and so it's very nice to hear this explanation from you. There's another question about what are your strategies for ensuring the longevity and durability in the design elements in a retail project?
That's a very good question. If you are talking about maintenance, like we said, for example, white paint wood, not longevity, not at all. If you mean longevity in terms of aesthetic, that's what we said when we were looking at Etro project, right? Of course, the most easy way is to keep staying neutral in terms of tone, working with natural materials. They're always timeless. If you have such a daring client, like if you look at Diesel, new flagship store, an amazing project. They have this red display. That's a big statement. I'm not sure how much that would be in a longevity approach. But of course, red is the color of the brand as well. So tricky.
I understand that. There's another question about materials, which is kind of funny. And it is, we're working in a luxurious retail sector. Is there a way to achieve expensive look by using inexpensive materials?
Oh, completely. I think ceramic arrived to a crazy level of quality. It's hard to tell when is real stone and ceramic now. So, for example, that's a very easy way. Of course, you should be smart because the problem is that ceramic, you have a format and you want to avoid joints which are not going to look like natural stone. So you need to design your wall, your display, staying within those dimensions, for example. And then you need to be aware and familiar with the overall taste. You would never put plastic in a luxury store. Plastic is cheap. That's it. Easy. Whatever plastic you could use. So as long as you can stay in natural material, that's the best.
Then there were a few students curious about this aspect. Are you using 3D printing in your process?
Not really.
No.
No, first because we never have time to make a small model. Never. Second, because when we move into a concept development, we build with 3D print in scale 1:1, if you want. Like we build actual rooms of the store within a factory. We go there, we put the product in, we put the lights, and then the client approve it. So the 3D printing is great, I think, when you're doing buildings and you look at them as object size, which still, to me, is not the correct approach because there's a problem of scale and point of view. So we are used to study. I attended few architecture class in my life, but when you look at a building from top, it's something unnatural. I mean, you will never look at this building from top. You will always look at it from the bottom or, from within. So that, but this is more theoretical approach, I think.
Okay, great. I have two more questions.
Yeah.
And I think one is about, do you find it harder to design in an innovative way in a traditional context like the one in Rome?
On the facade, yes. So of course, when you work within Europe, you have massive constraints on the building facades. Within the space, you're always free to be innovative as you want. Of course, the crazy thing, the funny thing would be to design in Seoul, Korea, Tokyo, Ginza. We're doing a project for Edro. It's quite free what you can do there. Yeah.
So it's the level of freedom that it is.
Yeah, but I'm a person that is, I love constraints. I think constraints is the only way to move ahead, because if you have a blank canvas, sometimes it could be a trap. Yeah. While, constraints is like trampoline, no? You say that, like support, anchors that keeps your boat, moving in the right way, moving at least.
Then I had a few questions about your office. People were curious about how the firm is composed and how big and stuff like that. And then I selected this one. Where do you see your firm going in the future?
In a new office, first of all. I'm desperate in this moment because we have people kind of working one on top of the others, becoming too small. So first of all, I see the company going into a new office. I hope, the funny thing would be to keep going and growing, but stopping at 31 people, I think. That would be nice also for the storytelling. Of course, I don't want to go bigger. What I'm missing more from when we started. When I started, it was just me, few intern. We were 3-4 people. There was much more human relationship. Now, as a matter of fact, we had to work with filters and team leader and stuff. And I'm missing a little bit to know who am I working with. I don't have time to come down, have lunch, chat with them, whatever. And that's why I would like to keep it small as much as possible, which again, is not that small anymore because A lot of firm are 5
30
people, 4
people
people.
is a lot in Italy.
30 would be a big medium firm. Still, there's a lot of office in Italy which are 50, 100 people. So that would be nice to stay within 30.
Okay, great. That's nice. So thanks for your time.
Thank you to you guys.
Thank you for
and
answering the
of course,
questions.
reach out. I need to do follow us. I need to do this advertising moment.
Yes,
please follow us on Instagram.
Yes, I'm sure they will. They will,
Yeah.
because
And thanks a lot.
You explained a lot of interesting projects. So I want to make my compliments to Claudia. Thanks a lot for being here with us. And I actually just discovered she's a mom of 3 kids, 3. And I tell you, being an architect and an interior designer and a manager, because she's in fact a manager with a family so large, it's like a miracle in Rome. And I wanted to share this with you because this makes you understand the effort that it is behind this lovely professional. No, they're not visible.
Say that if you invite men as well, because we need more.
Men.
We need more and more to motivate men
Yes.
in raising kids, because it's not just.
Yes, true.
And the only way was because I have a very good husband that is sharing this thing with me, because otherwise it would be impossible.
So those are the secrets behind running a company. Huh? All right. So thanks, everybody. I hope you enjoyed the lecture. And we meet next time, I think next week already, for the 4th and the last design lecture. Bye. Have a very good day. Ciao.